big, burly Celtic men. All the men Hannibal would ever need to beat off Rome. These Celts were...
Phrasing. Well, after what, a whole ass year of No Oversimplified, he has returned to us with the second Punic War, which I think is going to be a 3-parter. So as of the day recording this, I think he is only releasing the first 2 parts. So, yeah, now before we dive in, make sure you go and check out the links in the description box below. I would love it if you joined the Discord and followed me over Twitch, and please do go check out the gaming channel here on YouTube where I upload old streams and dumb clips. Now, as usual, Oversimplified will most likely claim this YouTube video. There's nothing I can do about it. He will not release it even if I ask very nicely. So please do go watch my other videos. Yeah. I hope y'all watched my reaction to the first Punic War video that Oversimplified did all those moons ago. I was not quite a fan of it. I think it was one of his weakest, if not his weakest video thus far. It had just too many dumb jokes that didn't add anything to the video. They didn't even like really make me laugh. They were just kind of like, okay. They felt just so out of place, and also the video, it just felt like it was too long. The videos were too long for what he was for the historical information that Oversimplified actually covered in the first Punic War. The videos were too long. Now this video is 28 minutes long. Probably 26 minutes to account for advertisements and whatnot within this video. So I'm hoping maybe he has done a better job, because the second Punic War, I think, has a lot more meat to it. I mean, we're going to be talking about Hannibal Barca over here. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that there will actually be more substance to the second Punic War here, instead of just being filled with bad jokes. I'm sorry. I can't really describe them as anything else other than they were just bad. They weren't funny. They were just there. Anyways, with all of that, and I'm not saying I'm a funny man. I cringe at myself all the goddamn time. It's just for a video that was, I kind of do look to Oversimplified as a fairly educational channel, and those jokes were just not it. Which seemed to be a feeling that was felt in the comment section of my reaction. Other people did not care for those jokes. I'm hoping maybe he saw other people saying that in his comment section. I don't read Oversimplified's comment section. There's a shit ton of comments there. So hoping maybe other people pointed it out, and maybe he, did less of them this time. But I've been rambling here. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Immediately after the first Punic War.
All right, our beloved mercenaries. Let's hear it. Okay, thank you one and all for your hard work fighting in the first Punic War. Would have been nice if you'd won. Maybe tried a little harder. But this isn't the finger-pointing convention. I know you all have one thing on your minds. Hey, when are we all getting paid? Remember you lost your... Okay. Jim, why don't you tell them? I'm not telling them, you tell them. Ugh. Look, you're not getting paid. What? We lost the first Punic War and owe the Romans a ton of reparations. Of course we can't pay you in full. Let's burn this place to the ground! Hey! Don't burn this place to the ground. Come on, fellas. Will killing us really make you feel better about your money? Yes.
Hold on, I like that animation. Let's watch that.
Yes.
Boom, boom. I love that. I love how the camera followed that Carthaginian man getting smacked around by the spear and the sword.
Way to go, sir.
That was well done.
You're fired. I guess that makes 2 of us. Huh? In the aftermath of the First Punic War, Carthage's disgruntled mercenaries, left unpaid for all their hard work, revolted, and Carthage found itself caught up in an extremely destructive mercenary war. The panicked Carthaginians hired more mercenaries to fight the mercenaries they couldn't afford to pay, and Carthage
Yeah, where did that money come from? Does anyone know?
came dangerously close to collapse. All the while, across the water, there was Rome. Ha! Look at those morons. We just kicked their ass in the First Punic War, and now their own mercenaries are revolting. Haha. Yeah. Wait, First Punic War? You mean there's going to be a second one? Well, we're definitely taking advantage of this situation. So almost certainly, yes. The Romans did, in fact, take advantage of the situation. Amongst the chaos, rebels on the Carthaginian island of Sardinia sent out a cry for help to Rome. Hot diggity dog, said the Romans. That's free real estate. And so in they went.
It's true. There is Roman documentation of Romans saying hot diggity dog.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's our island. Get the hell off. Hey, they requested our help. We're simply helping. Oh, no, you don't. Look, we're sending our own army to deal with the rebels, okay? But just to be clear, we're not trying to start a fight with you, so, don't declare war on us or anything. War! We surrender! Great. And as part of the peace treaty, we get to keep these islands. No! The Carthaginians were hopping mad. As if their humiliating loss in the First Punic War wasn't bad enough, the Romans now took advantage of their mercenary problem and stole
Yoink.
their islands. This shocking land grab was pretty hard to justify, even by Roman standards. Additionally, the Romans now demanded Carthage pay them even more money on top of what was already owed. If Rome was trying to make Carthage as mad as possible, they were doing a fantastic job. The seeds of a second Punic War were being sown, and they were being watered with Carthaginian tears. Resentment in Carthage only continued to grow. Eventually, Carthage solved their mercenary problem thanks to Carthaginian military genius and hero of the First Punic War, Hamilcar Barca. He sorted those naughty mercenaries out with some good old-fashioned atrocities and the destructive
That's back then. In the BC's, atrocities was how he did it.
mercenary war
Absolutely.
was over. Still, all was not well in Carthage. Mere decades ago, they were the top dogs in the Western Mediterranean. Now, after the crushing defeat,
Not even a great starting point. No money, more problems. Does anyone know a good finance podcast? Oh, God. Just stop being poor. Like FTX. But worse.
in the First Punic War, and a huge bill to pay the Romans, Carthage was well and truly under Rome's thumb. What on earth were they supposed to do? If they wanted any chance at regaining their former strength, there was one thing they needed now, more than anything: money. But as long as they owed Rome $1 bazillion, there was nothing they could do. Fortunately for them, amongst their ranks, there was one big hunk of a man with one big clump of a brain. Me, Hamilcar Barca. Yes. Wait, why do you all have the exact same voice? I have it too. That's right. Hero of the First Punic War, greatest general alive, and the poster above my bed.
Same.
Hamilcar Barca had an idea. All right, we need money? Well, I've got one word for you: Spain. An area filled with lucrative silver mines, from which the silver would flow like a river, and our pockets would be stuffed, like Tony's mother at a buffet. Hey! So here's my proposal. What the hell? You send me with an army to Spain. I'll expand our territory, get those silver mines up and running, and we'll be able to pay the Romans back in no time. Okay. But just to check, you're not secretly raising the money to go on a bloodthirsty revenge spree against Rome, are you? Because we can't afford that. Hanno, my dear, I'm simply going to pay them back. Well, that wasn't reassuring. Few in Carthage were as bitter about their loss in the First Punic War as Hamilcar Barca. 98% of his brain matter had been reallocated to thoughts of revenge. He was also fed up with the Carthaginian politicians for what he deemed a cowardly betrayal when they surrendered at the end of the last war. And so for
Fucking playing that game, that board game.
Hamilcar, going to Spain meant being able to act independently from
Your glorious campaign of vengeance starts here.
the weak Carthaginian
Woo!
government, building his own strength, and then perhaps somewhere down the line, revenge. However, he wasn't
Fucked
going
up.
to Spain by himself.
Fucking pouring oil on a dead body and then just possibly dead man and then burning them. Kind of fucked up, Hamilcar.
Hannibal?
Then again, the Romans also do fucked up. Y'all both do fucked up shit.
Yes, father? Would you like to come with me to build an empire in Spain? Oh boy, would I! Barbara, mind if I take our 9-year-old son with me? I want to implant an intense hatred of Rome in him and prepare him for a glorious campaign of vengeance.
As one
Just
should.
try not to traumatize him, dear. No promises. The young boy Hannibal would accompany his father, watching, learning.
Things I like about Dad. 1, his beard. 2, his eye scar. 3, the way he smells of Roman
Boy,
blood. Wait a minute.
You see that city over there?
Nope. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Learning.
His 1,000-yard stare. That is the stare of a traumatized man.
Boy, you see that city
Oh,
over there?
no.
Yes, father? That is Rome. Do you know what we do to Romans? No, father.
This is actually a really cool, like, artistic shot here. I really like this. Yeah. Does it make any, like, is this actually a view you can have? Of course not. But artistically, this is fucking dope. Like seeing the Pyrenees, and then the Alps over here. Gorgeous. Though, hold on. Do the mountains actually? The Italy looks weird with the mountains like that. I don't think the mountains are actually like that. I don't think.
We hate them, Hannibal. We hate them with every fiber of our being. But why, father? Can't I just play with my Digimons? No, son. They took everything from us. Our land, our wealth, our pride. Those animals. I'll tear them limb from limb. I'll
I'm so
burn their
proud.
pathetic city to the ground.
Yes.
Dad? I'm sorry, son.
I'm
I've just
so
never
proud.
been so proud. Keep going. I'll slaughter their people. I'll cut off their faces and wear them as masks.
All right, hold on. Simmer down now.
I love you, son. After taking Hannibal to the Temple of Baal and having him swear an oath never to be a friend of Rome, off Dad and son went for their lovely beach holiday in Spain. But Spain was already inhabited by many tribespeople, and when Hamilcar suddenly showed up in their territory, they were like, "Hey, who the hell are you? What are you doing here? I'm teaching my son how to become a warrior like me." Aw, well that's sweet. Well then, little guy, let's see what you got. Good boy. As Hamilcar got to work fighting the tribes of Iberia and expanding Carthaginian influence, Hannibal became a child of war, even earning battle scars from a young age. And he grew to...
How young, though? When did Hannibal start fighting? I want to know that. I mean, like, you tell us. Tell us. Give me an age. Or do we just not know? Is it just assumed he started it at a young age based on when we... I don't know if we know exactly when he was born. Because I don't know if there are documents for that. Like, I'm rusty on my Rome in which documents are exactly available. On this time period. Like, do we know exactly when Hannibal was born? Like these are some questions that I have that I feel like OverSimplified is not going to answer, which is totally fine that OverSimplified does not answer those questions. Though, of course, with a runtime of 28 minutes and this only being a part 1, I feel like it's kind of incorrect to call these OverSimplified really anymore.
to become a great military leader himself, making his father very proud. I love you so much, son. Dad, not in front of the enemy. You killed that guy so well, son. The Barcas successfully consolidated Carthaginian power, got those silver mines up and running, and were sending buckets of cash back to a money-starved Carthage. And symbolizing Carthage's regrowing strength, a beautiful new city would eventually be founded in Spain. New
227, technically after Hamilcar's death.
Carthage, with a magnificent palace at its center. Carthage is back, baby! What in the name of Apollo is going on here? Romans! Flowing silver mines? Dancing elephants? What are you up to, Hamilcar? I'm simply gathering the money to pay you back. Oh, okay then. Or are you rebuilding strength to go on a bloodthirsty revenge spree? Like I said, Claudius, I'm simply trying to pay you back. Aw, you guys are hugging.
They're gonna kiss.
I was hugging. Hamilcar had practically carved out a kingdom for himself in Spain, free from the meddling Carthaginian politicians. His power was becoming immense. But Dad, yes, my son? I'm confused. Are we really simply paying the Romans back? We're not gonna go on a bloodthirsty revenge spree? Of course we are. I'm just saying that to get the Romans off our backs. Listen, here's the most important life lesson I have for you. Vengeance is everything. An all-encompassing thirst for vengeance is great for your mental health.
Of
Are you
course.
still confused? No, I get it now. But what if the Romans find out what we're up to? They won't find out. Why? Well, Hannibal, because I use NordVPN. I'm confused again. Do you like your computer being hacked, all your passwords being stolen, and used to create Carthaginian tears, a child of war, and the Carthaginian conquest of Spain? The Carthaginian recovery had been staggeringly quick, and Rome was seriously alarmed. But they were also preoccupied with ongoing wars elsewhere, including an expansionist war to the north, where they were enslaving thousands of northern Celts. So for now, to keep Carthage in check, the Romans insisted on a new treaty. See this river?
Yes.
The two sides agreed that everything above it was in Rome's sphere of influence, while beneath it was Carthage. Under no circumstances were the Carthaginians to expand north of that river. But for now, Hamilcar and son were living it up. Well, son, here's to many more years of successful campaign.
Wait a minute. 228 BC, but we. Oh wait, no. I was about to say, wait, 228 BC, but 227 BC. I'm guessing Hamilcar's about to die.
In Spain. Now, if you'll excuse me, I just have to go fight those guys. See you later, son. I love you. What the? Oh, crap. I drowned? Oh, well. Always remember, son. You are vengeance. Also, delete my browsing history.
I got you.
Hamilcar Barca was tragically ambushed at a river and drowned. His son-in-law, and possibly also his lover, no further questions, took charge
Oh
for a
no
while.
no. Don't no. Let's go. Let's wind it back a bit. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait. Why is it?
His son-in-law, and possibly also his lover,
I'm uncomfortable.
no further questions, took charge for a while. But he too was later assassinated, leaving finally at 26-year-old Hannibal in
Okay, 26 years old in 228-ish, 227 BC. Okay. So that is, hold on, I'm trying to do the math, somewhere in the 250s. He was born somewhere in the 250s.
charge of the Carthaginian armies in Spain.
But we weren't also given a date as to when the Carthaginians started invading Spain. So I'm not exactly sure still when Hannibal joined in the conquest.
Sources say the men readily accepted him as their leader. He chose to suffer the same hardships as his men. He lived in the same conditions, was often the first into battle and the last one out. And it also helped that he looked a lot like his dad. He had the total respect of his men. If he said jump, they said how high. If he said tuck me in, they said how tight. If he said talk to a girl without peeing your pants, they said that's impossible. Nobody can do that. An army that would follow him anywhere would be crucial for exacting his vengeance against Rome. Hannibal's army had become
It's
a
full,
strong and
brother.
loyal fighting force, and that was making a certain nation very uncomfortable. Seeing Carthage re-strengthen so quickly was not something Rome had expected, yet here they were, paying off their debts and expanding their territory. It didn't feel very much like Carthage was under Rome's thumb at all, and Rome wanted to put an end to it. Tensions were strung tighter than your liar's G-string, and all it would take was one incident to trigger all-out war.
Dun, dun, dun.
And in 219 BC, a city in Spain would find itself at the very center of that fateful incident, Saguntum.
What they do?
Remember that treaty declaring everything south of this river to be Carthage's sphere of influence?
Yes.
Well, Saguntum should therefore obviously be Carthaginian,
Oh,
right?
goddammit, Rome.
Wrong! Saguntum had actually scored itself an informal alliance with Rome after Rome had helped it with an internal dispute. With Carthaginian encroachment, Saguntum began to fear for its independence, and Rome declared itself Saguntum's protector. But this clearly went against the Ebro River Treaty.
Damn
so
straight.
what on earth was Rome doing? Were the Saguntines and the Romans truly just BFFs? It's possible. Or was Rome deliberately trying to interfere with Hannibal's Spanish expansion and maintain a staging post for a future war with Carthage?
Most definitely.
More likely.
Yeah.
And Hannibal certainly viewed this Rome-Saguntum alliance as an outrage. Yet another example of Roman arrogance.
Examples of Roman arrogance made us pay tons of money, stole our islands, allied with Saguntum.
At first,
How
he
dare
left
they.
Saguntum alone. But having learnt from his father to hate all things Roman, and having inherited his father's dream of bringing Rome to its knees more and more, Hannibal may have begun to see Saguntum as an opportunity. Could this controversial alliance be just what devilish little Hannibal needed to kickstart a second war with Rome
Fucking Grinch
and
over here.
restore Carthaginian dominance? It's even possible that Rome were also using Saguntum to goad Hannibal into a fight so they could go and kick him out of Spain. And as the two giants began gearing up for round two, the poor people of Saguntum had no idea that they were about to be crushed in the collision. Hey, your alliance with Saguntum is an insult, and we won't stand for it. They're our friends, Hannibal, and if you lay a finger on them, it'll be an act of war. Yeah, Hannibal, back the hell off. War, eh? I was thinking I might just besiege their city and massacre their people. I hope you do, Hannibal. Find out what happens. Yeah, we hope you do, Hannibal. Wait, what? Maybe I will. Go ahead. Kill them all. Okay then. Fine. Okay, guess
Yeah.
I'll do just that. Consul, we look forward to it. Consul, you're gonna protect us though, right, Consul?
Nope.
Consul! Oh no! To top it all off, when the Saguntine people made the genius decision of raiding into Carthaginian territory,
Oh, dumbasses.
enough was enough. In an action that was guaranteed to provoke the Romans into war, Hannibal besieged the city. The Siege of Saguntum lasted 8 cruel months before Hannibal broke through the city defenses and turned Saguntum into a killing field. It was a massacre. What the hell? Tell me I didn't just catch you massacring our friends, the Saguntines. Well, Consul, if you like the
Saguntines.
Saguntines so much, perhaps you should sug on these
Nuts! Ah! Got him! I knew he
Hearing
was
word
leading
of the
into
attack
that.
on Saguntum, Rome was understandably in an uproar, and all eyes were now fixated on what would happen next, as Rome sent a delegation to Carthage, led by one of the most highly esteemed Roman senators, Fabius Maximus. He demanded an answer for Hannibal's sins. All right, listen up, scum. You've got a rogue general in Spain attacking a Roman ally. What are we supposed to do about it? Well, there shouldn't have even been a Roman ally in Spain. You're the aggressor here. Hand Hannibal over to us as a criminal so we can punish him severely. No, yes, no, no. Look, I hold in the folds of my toga both peace and war. Which one should I let drop?
He
Whichever
really said
one
that.
you want, then I choose. The Second Punic War had begun. Pack it up, boys. We've got 'em. We already destroyed these clowns once, and we were the underdogs. Now, we're the overdogs? Hot dogs. Exactly.
Damn
This is
straight.
gonna be easy. Here's the plan. Consul Longus, you take your army and sail straight for Carthage. Burn that city to the ground. And Consul Scipio, you just head on over to Iberia and make sure this Hannibal guy doesn't do anything crazy. I mean, what's he gonna do? Cross the Alps?
Of course not. That'd be crazy.
We're going to what? Cross the Alps. We're going to what? I just told you, Hannibal will freeze to death. Trust me, Jerome. The Romans are expecting us to fight the same way we did last time, passively, taking no initiative. They think it's gonna be easy. So this time, we have to be aggressive. We have to go on the attack. It sickens me to say this, but this time, we have to be a little more Roman. You mean we're gonna take poops and baths together? But I'm insecure about my hairy legs. No, I'm saying this time, we're gonna take the fight to them. Think about it. Rome thinks they're simply going to invade us and win the war. So when they suddenly find themselves being invaded from the north, they'll freak out. Like Tony's mother, when the buffet runs out of shrimp. Hey! I gotta admit, it's actually kind of genius.
Shrimp slaps. There's only too much of it. If I eat too much of it, my tummy hurts.
And my hairy legs will insulate me from the cold. That's the spirit. Hannibal, you have my sword, and my spear, and my legs. Ugh. Hannibal's plan.
Should have let that bit die the first time. I love how this kind of looks like the wall from Game of Thrones here.
A daring alpine trek to surprise the Romans was a bold but risky strategy. If it paid off, he could catch the Romans with their pants down, but he could also end up losing a ton of men and supplies in the hostile mountain conditions. Nevertheless, in 218 BC, with a fire in his eyes and some vengeance in his belly, Hannibal brought his force of almost 100,000 men across the Ebro River. They spent months on the road, trekking through the cold, hostile mountain conditions. And when they finally reached the other side, they said, "Hooray! We did it! We crossed the Alps." No, those were the Pyrenees. Those are the Alps. After crossing the Pyrenees, the army then had to pass through southern Gaul.
How many? All right, so we got the starting number of Hannibal's army here at 100,000 before crossing the Pyrenees. I would have liked if Oversimplified here had provided the number post-Pyrenees, but that may not be a number that we have. We may only have really rough estimations that are ultimately kind of futile to mention, in which case, fine. But I hope he does mention the number post-crossing the Alps, because I do believe that's a number we have a estimate for.
Filled with tribespeople.
I just don't remember what it is.
Were hostile to Hannibal's presence. His journey to the Alps was an ordeal in itself, as he was forced to fight his way through and incurred pretty hefty losses before even reaching the mountains. His plan was almost stopped in its tracks entirely, as the Roman consul Scipio, on his way to Iberia, discovered Hannibal was right on his doorstep. Suddenly, Hannibal's journey
there he is.
Race,
get him.
as he rushed to get his massive army across the vast Rhone River before the Romans could intercept him. The crossing was chaotic, with the panicking elephants causing several men to drown. And the first combat of the war occurred when small scouting parties from each side encountered one another. When Scipio finally caught up to Hannibal's position, what he found was an empty Carthaginian camp. Hannibal had slipped through his fingers. The Roman consul Scipio felt the weight of the situation. Quite unbelievably, Hannibal was going to cross the Alps into Italy, and the Romans had no idea where he would emerge. For the first time, a Carthaginian force had the Roman homeland under threat. Scipio sent his men onto Iberia as planned, but he himself rushed home to raise a new army so that if Hannibal survived the crossing, Scipio would be there, waiting. Would you look at that, boys? We're here, the Alps. Although it is a little later than I expected. Yeah, it's kind of chilly. We'll set up camp here and wait for spring, right? It's way too cold, right? Hannibal?
Yep.
Hannibal's famous crossing of the Alps was brutal. It was already autumn, and the men suffered terribly. It was cold. Men would fall off the sides of icy cliffs. They starved, They fell off the sides of icy cliffs. Some sources say they had to eat their pack animals and would finish off dying comrades in order to take their clothes for extra warmth. And then they would fall off the sides of icy cliffs. Imagine an army of 50,000 men with all of
Okay, so by the time he reached the Alps, it had dwindled to half.
their horses, supplies, and 37 elephants trying to navigate the most hostile mountain range in Europe. And it wasn't just nature that they were up against. Tribespeople lived in the mountains, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. A tribe approached Hannibal and said, "Hey man, geez, that's some nice armor. What is that, gold? Man, I'd really like that armor. Hey boss, they've got food as well. Shut up, be cool. Hey, why don't you let us guide you through this narrow gorge? We're not gonna kill you or nothing. Just walk right on through there. We're not gonna kill you. It's just right this way. We're not gonna kill you." Hannibal's army were forced to fight their way through the gorge as massive boulders rained down on them from above. Some clever reorganization of his line helped them survive, and they were able to fend off the opportunistic tribes. But losses from the constant attacks were heavy. As the journey continued, men who went over the sides would get stuck on the ice sheets below and had to make a grisly choice between starving to death or just getting it over with. When the deeply demoralized army reached the summit and rested for a couple days, Hannibal tried to lift their spirits with a rousing speech. "Look, men, down there, it's Rome. These plains stretching out in front of you are bountiful with food to eat and Romans to kill. Move, Bessie! Look, you have just climbed the walls of Rome. The hard part is over. From here on out,
I mean, he's not wrong. Getting that far through the Alps, I mean, the hard part is over.
it's all downhill, and nobody else will die. Except for them. The rest of us here, no one dies. Starting now. Okay, let's go. Oh, for goodness sake! As it turned out, the descent was as deadly as the way up, with the cold really starting to set in. The path became even more narrow, and at one point, the men spent 3
Road
days
work
in the
ahead.
freezing cold
I sure hope it does.
repairing a collapsed road.
Joke is old.
When they finally reached the bottom, Hannibal said, "Look, guys, we did it." Well, I thought it went really well. When Hannibal left Spain, he had about 100,000 men. By the time he reached the Italian plains, his numbers had dwindled to about 26,000.
Ooh. Oh. Ooh, that's real low. Damn. Only 1/4 of the original size.
He was now caught in enemy
Yikes.
territory, without a supply line or source of reinforcements. And any elephants who had survived to this point were almost certainly traumatized. So what on earth was Hannibal up to? This supposed military genius had just led a starving and weakened army right into enemy territory. Any modern general who lost half their men to mountains would be immediately fired and possibly even depantsed on live TV. Here's the thing. While Hannibal may not have
They would have been fired before losing that many men.
planned on losing quite so many men, he had almost certainly expected considerable losses, and he always had a plan for how to replace them. Need men? Northern Italy was full of men. Big, burly Celtic men. All the men Hannibal would ever need to beat off Rome. These Celts were
Phrasing. Phrasing.
filled with resentment, having only recently been conquered by Rome. Hannibal hoped to be seen as a liberator, convince the Celts to cut ties with Rome, and instead join him in crushing Rome. That way, he could gain a source of reinforcements and supplies right in Rome's backyard. But sir, in order to win the loyalty of the Celts, we would need to make a seriously favorable impression on them. How do we get them to like us? Kill them. One of Hannibal's first actions in Italy was to obliterate a nearby tribe who wouldn't join him. This sent a clear message to all the other tribes. It was his wrath they should fear, not Rome's. The realization that a Carthaginian army had just invaded them must have been shocking for the Romans. But when they looked at this ragtag group broken by the Alps, they couldn't have felt very intimidated. However, Hannibal was now in Italy, and he was about to embark on one of the most astonishing military campaigns in all of human history. The Romans may not have known it yet, but there was now a monster loose in their territory, and he was vying for Roman blood.
Okay, and that was the second Punic War Oversimplified Part 1. I am happy to say that this is so much better than the first Punic War. Just off of this first part here, I'm hoping Part 2 and I think Part 3 are of similar quality here. There were some jokes, but there weren't as many as there were in the first Punic War, where it was taking away from the video and adding nothing. This one, there were some jokes here, but they were pretty few and far between. And so they some of them still weren't funny, but like they weren't egregious enough to make me just kind of like, roll my eyes and just kind of like be like, come on, hurry the video up, right? The video kept moving with the plot, I guess we'll say. And then, for lack of a better term, it kept moving the plot forward. Didn't really get stuck too much in one bit, though there was that one bit with the hairy legs of kind of too long. Should have only been like a 1 or 2 joke instead of a 3 joke kind of thing. But it is what it is. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more. And I will see you guys in part 2. Peace.